iPhone 14 versus Nothing Phone 2 speed test. Let's begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, we've covered the 14 Pro Max and we covered the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So we did a Gen 2. We did the Apple A16 Bionic. Now we're going to do the Apple A15 Bionic versus the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and the Nothing Phone 2. Now I am aware that the 14 Plus is probably the closer option to this in terms of size, but when you look at the price point of Nothing Phone 2, you can actually buy an iPhone, what is it? This is the 14? I keep getting confused because it's like the 13 as well, but 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs, $699. That's actually cheaper than the iPhone 14, the base model 14. You can get 512 gigs of storage for base model iPhone 14 with 128 gigs. So you tell me who you think the value is. And you've seen that the iPhone 14 did turn on a little faster than that of the Nothing Phone 2. All right, so moving on to how we unlock these phones. We'll begin with the iPhone 14 using Face ID. I still don't like how we don't have the option to bypass this swipe. It's just really slow sometimes by comparison to what you can do on the Android game. Also, we have no in-display fingerprint, so I'm just gonna raise to wake and get in. I mean, it's very convenient. I like the security aspect of it, but I wish we had a Touch ID option as well as maybe a way to bypass the lock screen. Now over here, you'll see Face Unlock is not the most secure method on the Nothing Phone 2. In my initial video, I didn't even know if this had Face Unlock, but I figured out that it does, and you can see bypassing it is faster than the iPhone 14. In addition to that, they have a beautiful looking fingerprint scanner. I say beautiful because it reminds me of classic iPhones, and I really love those Touch IDs. And if we go ahead and click right here, we are into Nothing Phone as well. So once you kind of know where that's at, again, don't have to look. The Nothing Phone is kind of reminding me of a like OnePlus device when it comes to speed of unlocking. It's super quick, super reliable, and faster than that of the iPhone 14. Now, from a general OS perspective, we are looking at the iOS 16.6 for the iPhone 14, which is going to be the latest version, and we have Nothing Phone OS over here. This is like 2.0.1, and Nothing does have a community application where they are going to be asking, users about things and trying to fix problems that do come along. So I do like how they're getting the community involved, and they are going to be pushing to improve this. So I do think if they keep doing this and they keep putting out pretty good phones for a good price, they might actually have something on their hands here that might grow into a bigger brand into the future. But in terms of the general operating system and the smoothness factor, the Nothing Phone 2 actually feels smoother due to the hardware-based 120 Hz panel that Nothing has thrown on here. Now you have a 60 Hz panel over here for the iPhone, and Apple seems to recognize that they can get away with selling a phone with the same panel they've been selling for years, so they keep doing it until customers demand more. I will say that you don't really notice after you've played with it a while because the iOS experience, even on 60 Hz, is very smooth. But the Nothing Phone is not only smooth, it's smooth and fast. Okay, so we've arrived at the application portion of this speed test, and you could see pretty much everything is closed out on both phones. And we're going to go ahead and go over here into Calendar to begin this. And Google Calendar is cloud-based, so slightly slower to open on most Android phones, including the Nothing Phone 2. Going to Calculator. Faster on the iPhone. We're going to go into Clock. Pretty even. We'll go into Weather here. And that's faster for the Nothing Phone 2. We'll go into Instagram. And Instagram launches first there. It looked like to me, maybe on the iPhone, call it down below. I didn't see that one very closely. We'll go into Nothing Phone post I just did a few days ago. And once in Instagram, about the same. Now, we are looking at Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 on the right. And that's still a screamer of a chip, but the A15, the A series line has seemed to be the more powerful above Android phones. But you're going to see right here that when you're actually using the phone, a lot of times a Nothing Phone will feel faster than an iPhone. That's amazing considering it's a second gen phone. And for the price point, YouTube launches first there on the right. And we'll head up out of there. And we'll go into Groupon. I haven't got this ready yet, so let me go ahead and continue as a guest. Let me relaunch Groupon because it was asking for a location. Let's go to Groupon one more time. You can see faster once in on the Nothing Phone 2 categories, faster than Nothing Phone 2, and faster than Nothing Phone 2. So you can see that using this lighter version of the software, very pixel-like. And now because Nothing Phone does use a very stock-like version of Android, it does give it a very nice performance, like very close, if not in some cases faster than iPhone. We're gonna go into Starbucks here, and you'll see faster on the right over the 14. We'll go into Best Buy, and who's getting electronics first. Looks like about the same. Go to products, and you'll see as we're just kind of opening things up, the 120 hertz doesn't make a major difference when you're just kind of like doing stuff on the phone. It's when you're scrolling you really see the difference, and it's kind of a feel thing. But you can see faster here now on the Nothing Phone. So man, I'm telling you guys, the Nothing Phone is just, it's a screamer of a device. Faster on the right. We'll go into Dead Trigger 2, and it's pretty much similar to what you'll find on a Sony phone or a Pixel phone with those more vanilla versions of Android. Those softwares are very light. They don't throw a lot on top, so they just scream. And the Nothing Phone is screaming too that, hey, look at me. I'm very quick, and I'm definitely a decent phone for the price. And so let's head up into Asphalt 9. And like I say, you know, it is a decent phone for the price. It really is. It's probably a little bit better than decent. It's pretty impressive, I would say. It's just got the glyph interface. It's got, you know, really good performance, really good display, good cameras. OnePlus is really nailing the, did I say OnePlus? Nothing Phone 2. I say that because I think Carl Pye OnePlus. Nothing Phone is definitely nailing the fundamentals on this device. And the reason why they're nailing it is because the founders and the people that are involved in this project know what they're doing when it comes to these, you know, Nothing Phones. They've been in the business a while, so they know what customers mostly want, and they know what they got to do to make a good phone. And they're updating it pretty regularly so far, and they're putting a lot of effort into, you know, just kind of improving the things that matter. And Carl Pye has even said that he's not going to be doing, you know, a major change to the hardware every year, but going to be improving elements like software, improving the glyph, improving, you know, just the things that actually matter. But I don't see them making the same exact design every year. They're probably going to bring out a pro version or a bigger version or something like that. I don't know about how much bigger, but they're probably going to do something different eventually. It's just going to have to be done. But so far, I like what they're doing so far. And I'm not saying it's better than the iPhone, but it's definitely an alternative option to something like Samsung or a Pixel or even a OnePlus device or a Xiaomi device or maybe even an iPhone if you don't want to try iOS. It's really up to you. And so it looks like the Nothing Phone finished the updates, finished everything, and was ready to get into this game a little bit faster than that of the iPhone 14. So you can see even in games sometimes Nothing Phone 2 can be faster. So yeah, at the end of the speed test, I can say that they're pretty head to head here. They're pretty darn similar. With the iPhone loading some things faster, with the Nothing Phone loading some things faster. The A15 not quite as impressive as the A16, and probably not as good, nowhere near as good as the upcoming A17 and iPhone 15s. But still, it's a really solid chip, still found in even iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max. So let's take it through the RAM management now. Just a buttery smooth experience I've seen on iPhones in the past. Let's see if we can replicate this here on the iPhone 14, and you'll see even with the 60 hertz panel, it is just really nice on this device. Swiping out today, looking very good. Sometimes things change up, like some speed tests, you know, an Apple reload or something like that, but doesn't seem to be happening today. We do got the App Store refiring up because it is reloading some of the content that it does present on the App Store. We're gonna go over here to calendar, and pretty much a buttery smooth experience. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Nothing's offering here. And like I said in my past speed test with this phone so far, I've been happy with the way the animations look on this phone. They look really nice, and it's proof that some other companies, I'm talking to you, Samsung, need to make their animations just look a little bit better. It's just proof. If Nothing can do this, so can you. We'll go over here to eBay. And I still don't think any Android phone beats the iPhone yet in just animations, but this one gets right up there with it. It gets very close. There's one phone I feel like is still better than this in the animation department, and that's going to be the MIUI on these Xiaomi devices, but this one is still very good, and you'll see pretty much a buttery smooth experience. Pretty cool. So Nothing Phone does really well by comparison here to the iPhone 14. And as always, the Geekbench 6 results are always going to win on the iPhone, which leads some people to believe that they're just the better performers because they win in Geekbench 6. You can see Nothing Phone pretty much done there as well. Not too far off in that single core though, and not too far off in that multi-core score either. In reality, the Nothing Phone feels smoother with the 120 Hertz. The iPhone probably technically faster if you really push it. But how much are you going to be pushing it? Really, like, I feel like phones are like overpowered these days, like for what you're going to do on a phone. And it's pretty inconvenient to like video edit on a phone unless you absolutely have to. And if you have to, no problems with that until you're able to get a computer that's fast enough. But a lot of laptops that are better at, video editing are cheaper than phones these days. For example, an M1 MacBook Air can be found for like $749, and you can do editing much better on that than like a small iPhone 14 Pro, which is very fast, but it's a small screen, and that phone costs $999 versus $749 for an M1 MacBook Air. So there's my point right there. If you could buy a premium phone, you probably could buy a better machine for editing. And so, or gaming. If you can buy a phone for like $1,000 that does good gaming, why wouldn't you just buy a PlayStation 5, hook it up to a TV, and have a much better gaming experience? I just don't get it. So the point is that while you might have a little bit better performance with your chip, are you really using it? Question for you guys. Are you really using the gaming and video performance? Comment below. And so would you look at this, a 2777 on the Apple iPhone 14 with an average frame rate of 16.6 FPS versus 2461 over here on the Nothing Phone. You'll see 14.70 average frames per second. This score is better than 63% of other devices. And this phone right here feels really warm right now. Scores better than 71. So just a hair, not a hair, but just a little bit faster, according to the benchmarks, is the iPhone 14. But you can get the Nothing Phone for cheaper. It has a much larger display. You can see right there, it has a much smoother display. Both have dual cameras. The Nothing Phone, I think, can zoom a little bit further. But other than that, which one would you pick? I would say from a performance standpoint, the iPhone 14 is a little better, but not really in actual usage. And you probably will notice how smooth at 120 Hertz is more than you'll notice a chip difference. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Peace.